it doesn't really matter where you're more or 50 meters apart, whether it's 50 kilometers or 5,000 kilometers, doesn't really matter. So for offshoring, this is really interesting and making the case to do it agile.
Welcome to the library.
Library, yeah. Of the Starwaite in Utrecht.
Observatory.
The Star Observatory in Utrecht.
Yeah. Of the university. It's an old university building. So
Okay.
it's a nice place. It's in the heart of Utrecht. In the middle of a park. New books. I thought it would be inspiring for our vlogs.
Yeah. And you as a library fanatic, of course, know these places to find.
Of course.
Okay.
No, brilliant. No, let's do some vlogs, really.
Yeah. Well, I had a little bit thinking about it. We taped this lecture in Gouda on agile offshoring, but you've edited it into chapters.
Yeah.
And I had the idea of making, let's say, one vlog on one chapter. So then we have short movies on a specific theme.
Okay, that's brilliant. Because the whole lecture is about 20-25 minutes.
Yeah, that's too long.
That's too long, yeah.
So
true.
we cut it up.
True.
And then we maybe shoot a kind of intro.
Yeah.
Then we on the theme. Then we do the part of the lecture.
Yeah.
I give a very short summary
Yeah.
in 1 minute, and then we do the terrible
Joke.
mother-in-law joke or something, and then it's done.
Hey, cool, let's do it. Yeah. No, there was some interesting topics you mentioned in Gouda. I can remember you also mentioned Aaron Kamel with his book, and we filmed him before.
Okay,
in
so
Delft.
maybe can get a shot back from that previous vlog.
Yeah, maybe that's interesting to combine those, you know, then we can get back to our previous vlogs, previous themes.
Okay.
And maybe you can give a short introduction on what's the big takeaway from that part from your lecture.
Exactly. I also thought about that. I think because in the summary, I think the best thing is to try to find one sentence which summarizes it all, which is the main takeaway, and put it really on the front of the vlog. So we start with this one sentence, and then we do the intro.
Yeah.
Because then you have when visitors see the video, and if they only grab the first few seconds, then still have the main message.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So the hint of the day.
Because if you watch a video, what is it about?
Yeah.
You see the title, but let's say I want a main message immediately.
And if you like it, you can watch the whole video. If you don't like it, you also have a takeaway.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Cool.
Give it a try. Cool.
Give it a try. Cheers. Okay, Rini, the first part of your lecture is about the Thomas Allen curve. Shall we have a look?
Okay, it's cool. But first of all, I would like to share some of the research in global software engineering with you. And one of the important things that I like to share with you is what we call the Allen curve. It's from Thomas Allen. And Thomas Allen is a researcher on buildings, actually. And so he was doing research and looking at how do we have to construct buildings, R&D buildings specifically, to make sure that people interact with each other as much as possible. So he started to look at the distance between people and their activity in connecting with each other. And the strange thing is, he made this curve, which is the Allen curve, and this is the distance, let's say in meters, and this is the chances of the probability of interaction. And the strange thing is what he found, something is like 30%, this is about 10 meters, and here is 50 meters. So he discovered, by just measuring in companies, measuring in buildings, that when people are more than 50 meters apart, the chances that they run into each other, to have a chat, to have unplanned, informal conversation is reduced to a level where it doesn't really matter anymore whether it's 50 meters, 50 kilometers, or even 5,000 kilometers. Which is strange, because 50 meters seems like a small distance. And in fact, so if somebody is a floor up of you, it might be 2 meters, but the distance to run into somebody. And Thomas Allen, he is designing buildings, researcher buildings, R&D buildings, in which the probability that people run into each other is as high as possible. So 50 meters. So we think about offshoring as far away, and in fact it is sometimes. If you work with India, it's 7,000 kilometers. But in fact it doesn't really matter. whether you're working with a supply or with a team which is 5,000 or 7,000 kilometers away, or whether it's 5 kilometers away. The difficulties are about the same. The work of Thomas Allen is really important for my research, because he's the first one who actually got data on how distance impact the way people interact, which is of course very important in software engineering. So the essence in the lecture I have given on this topic is that it doesn't really matter where you're more or 50 meters apart, whether it's 50 kilometers or 5,000 kilometers, doesn't really matter. So for offshoring this is really interesting and making the case to do it agile. The only question I still have with the work of Thomas Allen is with his curve is that the data comes before the mobile phone. The data comes from before internet. The data comes before Twitter, Facebook, etc. So I'm really wondering if we would repeat his data collection, what we would find out nowadays. Is it still 15 meters or is it more?
This video blog is sponsored by ProAwareness.
And Frans, have you taped it?
Yeah, Rini, it's a wrap.
And what do you think about it?
Well, I'm not sure, man, about this Allen curve. So if I got it correct, it's like 5,000 kilometers away is the same impact as 50 meters away.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
I don't agree, man.
Why not?
Well, for instance, I would like to have my mother-in-law rather 5,000 kilometers away than 50 meters away.